What you see over here on the screen is the World Economic Forum Global Risk Perception Survey 2020. The list is basically dominated by a whole bunch of environmental challenges. People are seeing this, people on the ground are already experiencing this. The next question is, okay, we know all these problems, now what? What do we do about it? My name is Irshad. Let me just break it down into four main parts for you today. So the first thing that I'm going to go through is introduction to what sustainability is. Then I'll be going into more specifically what green innovation is, what it entails. I'll be talking a bit about some key playing fields. And finally, how do I get started as an individual? We should try to innovate our way out of these challenges. I'm going to basically outline what it's going to take for a techno-optimist point of view to be able to actually make some sort of an impact to drive positive environmental outcomes. Let's just think about what it's going to take to innovate our way out of the challenges that we are going to face. Okay, so let's talk about green innovation. What does it entail? Why are we optimistic about it? What green innovation is for us is a process of basically trying to narrow down the scope in order to provide focus, especially for people who are newer players within this space. So imagine if you're a startup and you're trying to kind of work your way around solve a problem, and then you're settled with a whole bunch of metrics to do with making sure that your business is good on the social front, on the environmental front. So what we want to do is ultimately provide a path for people to focus on these environmental outcomes. Before we talk about the green side, which I think you already have somewhat of an idea about, let's talk about the innovation side. So when we talk about innovation, what do we mean? Is it all about new, shiny technology out there that's basically going to be solving all our challenges? To some degree, yes, that's what we call product innovation. The main activity that we do in product innovation is that we do significant R&D work and make sure that this product is something that can be integrated into a technically feasible solution. So we're looking at feasibility when we talk about product innovation. But when we talk about business model innovation, this is where we're basically looking for ways to find markets so that we can actually take this thing that works, deploy it in such a way that someone finds valuable and for them to actually pay you for it. And to us, innovation is the combination of these two things. And if you look at the diagram on the right-hand side, what you basically see is that innovation can come in three main waves, which is core, adjacent, and transformational. Core basically talks about having existing solutions be matched to existing problems with existing ways to procure those solutions. And when we talk about transformational, basically it kind of means someone needs to stick their head out in order to actually push this up. Either there's a risk on the technological side, there's a risk in the financial viability, etc. Essentially, this is what innovation is, a combination of product and business. When we look at green innovation, we are looking at the novel technological development, and we're also looking at novel commercial mechanisms. But in addition to that, we are looking at 3+1 main metrics that we are hoping to drive. So the first metric that we're looking at is the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. The second is eliminating pollution. And the third is preventing resource depletion. And the fourth one is driving social good. Although in the spirit of us being able to provide focus to people who are new to this, people who are early stage entrepreneurs, for example, summing it up, green innovation to us is finding novel business and product ways to address these three challenges. If we take a look at just Singapore alone, we're starting to see that there are a whole bunch of startups out there that are actually trying to go beyond the low-hanging fruit, the core innovations. Let me give just a couple of examples. MiniWiz over here, they're basically a studio for upcycling. The way their model kind of works is that they do consulting and they're also experimenting with different other materials. Below as well, they are a marketplace for refurbished goods. At the end of the day, the value proposition that they're driving over here is that they are ensuring a certain level of quality so that people can trust that the purchases they're making on this platform is something that's going to be worth the money that you're spending. There are a whole bunch of other green innovation companies all around the world. So for example, Appeal over here, what they do is that in order to prevent food waste, they create a product innovation, a coating that keeps food fresh, and they are able to partner up with different distributors. They are basically a B2B company. And they found some people that are actually willing to pay to have the food last longer. And this company called iFixit, they're essentially a company that sells tools. They are essentially a direct response to Apple. So they exist because the guy couldn't fix his MacBook. And what they're doing right now, in addition to selling their tools, is that they are advocating for a law called the right to repair. And it's interesting because on the one hand, they have a sustainable model and they're selling something. And on the other hand, they're advocating for something that will have a more lasting impact. We look at all these good solutions and they're all great. But one of the challenges here is that each individual solution will not do very much, because at the end of the day, we're kind of talking about systems in innovation over here. One individual intervention is not going to solve everything within the whole system. Yeah, the scope of impact is vast, the opportunities are there, but how do you make a meaningful difference? Where you guys will probably end up is in an organization. Regardless of where you end up, each of you individually will be able to play a role to push forward these green innovations as well as positive environmental outcomes. So whether you're someone that's analyzing the system and trying to identify opportunities, or if you're someone that's a little bit more technical who knows the minute details behind solar energy, for example, or if you're a builder that kind of makes sure that things actually exist in the real world and not just in theory, or if you're someone who is within these existing organizations who don't just understand how that one organization works, but how different organizations interact with one another and how people have different relationships between these different organizations. My argument is that regardless of where you start off, there's nothing kind of saying that you can't be more than one of these three things. And regardless of where you fall within the three circles, it is possible for you to become a founder in your own right. We've come up with 3 phases of what your impact journey can kind of look like. In the first phase, what you want to aim to do is, in addition to maybe trying to integrate sustainability practices in your own life, your job basically should be to try to understand the system a lot better, or try to understand individual components of the system better. Phase 1 also entails a level of scoping out a particular intervention that you want to make. Phase 2 is when you actually start doing something about it beyond bringing your own container to the canteen. Phase 2 goes beyond doing things for yourself and goes into trying to lay the foundation for a intervention later on in the future. And once you're at a stage where you're able to make a bet on yourself to make a direct impact, that's where phase 3 kind of kicks in, where you're launching something, you have a hypothesis as to whether or not this is going to make an impact. If it fails, then just launch again. If it succeeds, what might happen is that someone else, whether it's an investor or whether it's a grant giver, someone else might be able to take a bet on you because you've taken the bet on yourself first. This is one of the reasons why we actually started Interseed. Interseed's entire mission is to accelerate the pace of green innovations around Southeast Asia. So the first thing that we're doing is that we're creating a platform in order for people to make their individual marks in green innovation, whether they are phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3. And the second thing that we do is that we have a publication where we basically write about the different building blocks of green innovation. So our platform will basically be helping people on all 3 phases of driving green innovation. These are some features that we're building. We are also trying to get people to understand and map problems and solutions within different industries. For the publication, what we're essentially doing is that we're creating building blocks so that people can piece together different elements so that they can make a sustainable intervention in the long run. So there are 3 main things that we write about. The first thing is called the Sustainable Business Breakdown. So we take an individual company and we talk about what they're doing well, how they're driving environmental and social good, and how can they improve. And at the same time, we talk about how they are effective as a business itself. We also have a series called the Sustainability Dives, where we talk about technical aspects of driving green innovation. And finally, we have the Impact Startup Toolbox. These are where we talk about topics related to how you actually make money. No one person can do this alone. Ultimately, what we want to do within Interseed is that we want you to find your place. We want to help you grow your impact, and we want you to grow our impact.